Welcome back to Project 613. Today we will learn all about nullifying vows. We've been learning about how the Torah considers a person's word holy and sacred. A person needs to keep their promises. A person needs to keep their commitments. And if a person breaks their commitment, they are violating a biblical prohibition, as we learned yesterday. But we all know that sometimes a person makes a commitment, makes a promise, commits to do something, and it doesn't work out. He isn't able to keep his word. Either he didn't realize the ramifications, he didn't realize the circumstances, he didn't realize how severe making a vow is, or perhaps it's an unhealthy or dangerous situation and it's impossible for him to keep his promise. So in such a situation, there is a mechanism known as hatarat nedarim or hafarat nedarim, which means nullifying of the vows, which absolves a person from violating a biblical prohibition of not keeping his promise. Now, of course, this mitzvah is different than most other mitzvahs in that there is no positive mitzvah, there is no obligation on a person to go ahead and nullify their vows. Of course not. Rather, the obligation is that in an event where a vow needs to be nullified, then the mitzvah is that it should be done following the specific details as laid out by the Torah. And if you want to know all of these details, there are 2 full tractates of the Talmud that go through all of the details of vows and of how vows need to be nullified and in which situations a vow could be nullified and when it cannot be nullified and so on. And that's, of course, beyond the scope of this series. But that is the mitzvah, that in the event that a vow needs to be nullified, it should be done following the laws of the Torah. Now, there are some very general principles that we will mention now about nullifying vows, and that is that in general we have something called hafarat nedarim and something called hatarat nedarim. And the difference is as follows. Hafarat nedarim applies to a young girl whose father is able to nullify her vows for her, or a woman whose husband is able to nullify certain vows that she makes that could affect their relationship in a detrimental way. So the husband has the ability to nullify those vows for the purpose of keeping peace in the home. Hatarat nedarim refers to vows of any person which could be nullified by a great sage or by a bet din of 3 individuals who can nullify those vows. In Jewish practice, we know about hatarat nedarim, the nullification of vows that's done every year on the day before Rosh Hashanah. Following the Erev Rosh Hashanah morning service, we do hatarat nedarim, where we nullify our vows in order to begin the new year with a clean, fresh slate. So we have the hatarat nedarim procedure where all of our vows from the previous years are nullified. Of course, as mentioned previously, this doesn't mean that a person is absolved from keeping their word. Rather, the idea is that we shouldn't carry the weight of the biblical violation that's associated with a vow. And that's why we perform the hatarat nedarim ceremony on Erev Rosh Hashanah. And similarly, in a similar way, we have the Kol Nidre ceremony also before Yom Kippur for a similar reason. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.